Good evening, my name is Edward Crouch, I'm Conservative Councillor for Worthing's Marine Ward and I am a member of the Planning Committee. This video is to follow on from yesterday's meeting, the 20th of August, held in the Gordon Room in the Town Hall, and being that it's August and it would appear to be silly season, there was only one item on the agenda which was up for discussion. That item was that for an application from Sainsbury's to apply for planning permission to change the Mr. Clean car wash on Littlehampton Road from a car wash into a Sainsbury's local store. It was deferred from the last meeting last month on the grounds of concerns over the highways issues. Obviously, with a new store, there's going to be potentially new customers coming and going, and there were concerns from local residents about the additional traffic that would be on the already busy road, and also the impact on safety with the crossing, with the playing field at the back, and various other concerns. It was an interesting debate. It was an impassioned debate, I must say. Two members of the public officially spoke very passionately, and gave the views of themselves and their local residents very, very well. The application was supported by the applicant, someone on behalf of Sainsbury's, but also sort of not supported by but discussed by technical experts from West Sussex County Council's Highways Division, who attended to discuss some of the technical matters that actually were kind of being called into contention. I made the point, following the information they gave about how it works and the fact that although the road is busy, it doesn't exceed this threshold, which is severe. You have to have something, the impact has to be severe before it can be considered a relevant ground to be refused. The technical experts said that the impact, well, there would be an impact, but it would not be severe. Also, Sainsbury's submitted, and anecdotally I'm inclined to agree, that a lot of these local shops are not, people don't make a special effort to go and see them, to go and use them. I personally do use some of the existing local stores, not specifically Sainsbury's, but there's a few others. There's the BP in Findon, you've got the Tesco's and what have you. And if they're ever busy, which I must say I travel at peak time, they quite often aren't, if it's full, I'm not going to park, I'm going to go to the next one, or I'll go to a big store. So I must say that that argument was put forward by Sainsbury's. I'm inclined to agree that people do use these shops for top-up shopping, and I think it's unlikely that that people are going to be queuing back into the road or parking in the neighbouring streets. Some concern about parking was raised to do with staff. There's only a limited amount of space on the site, and residents were concerned that staff from the store would be parking in their streets. That is a possibility. I would say that the streets are not owned by the residents that live in them. I have lived for many years in the town centre, and I've recently moved, but you share your streets. You share your streets with visitors, you share your streets with people working. It's a fact of life. You have to share the highways. If it's a private road, do what you want, but it's a public highway, and the space has to be shared. In mitigation to that, which I realise is quite a tough point, but in mitigation to that, Sainsbury's were potentially open to a traffic regulation order, or funding the traffic regulation, or agreeing to a traffic regulation order for double yellow lines should there be a problem with parking in the future. And West Sussex County Council seemed to be happy with that. Also, Councillor Paul High, who was substituting and sitting on the committee, declared an interest as a county councillor and actually suggested that the family who were concerned about parking could actually request that the traffic regulation order be fast-tracked, so the local county councillor can do that. That's some powers that have been devolved to local county councillors. So that was pretty much it. The vote was 4-3 from my memory. Just look at my notes here, the application was approved. Interestingly, if my reading of the papers is correct, the site isn't actually for sale, which is an odd thing in planning rules. You can apply for planning permission on land you don't own. So technically, I could go and apply for planning permission to knock down the town hall and turn it into a theme park. I may well do that. I haven't ruled that out because I think that'd be a fabulous idea. So yes, it was carried. There will be CCTV, there will be restricted opening hours from 7am to 10pm, and a few other bits and pieces, should it ever go ahead, and it may well not, we shall see. But it was approved. The meeting was not as well attended as previous meetings because there was only one item, but planning meetings are great fun. They're great fun for the public. I say great fun. They're an interesting thing to watch if you're interested in local democracy. There was one comment that a gentleman made to do with Sainsbury's sort of being the big guy and sort of how councillors don't really have much choice. Now, I've refuted that. I kicked that very much back at this gentleman because I said this in the meeting, and I'll say it quite happily now. It doesn't matter if you are the smallest corner shop or the biggest multinational. I couldn't care two hoots. What we will be looking at, or what I will be looking at as a planning committee member, is the soundness of the planning application and whether or not we as a committee have, in my view and in the committee's view, grounds to turn the application down or not based on the National Planning Policy Framework. I'll post a link to that because one of the solicitors at the council sent me a really interesting document about it. So that's what it is. Doesn't matter if you've got pots of cash, couldn't care less. It's about the soundness of your planning application. Local democracy is run by local people for local people, but within guidelines. We can't just turn things down because we don't like the sound of them or we're not quite sure why we don't like it. We just don't. There has to be real reasons. Otherwise, it gets appealed, and then the council, but the council means everybody. Council tax money is used to pay for the costs of Sainsbury's or any other person who objects and wins an appeal. So it's a tough call, but we need to have good reasons for turning things down, not just don't like the look of it. That's frankly not good enough. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm conscious this has been a slightly longer video. Hopefully less ers and ums. I've had a few people say that I and a lot. I don't think I do. Finally, after the meeting, there was one other thing. After the meeting, I went down to meet with the travellers down on Worthing Seafront, and I will do a separate video about that shortly. And we'll leave it there. So thank you very much for watching my 7.5-minute video on the 21st of August Planning Committee. Any comments down below, and I will also post a link to the information about planning. So thank you very much, and have a good evening.